It's been 5 years and 3 MacBook Air generations since the M1 Macbook Air, but this is still the best bang for your buck MacBook that I recommend for most people. And the deal just got sweeter because it is now at the lowest price it's ever been at $599. Not from Apple, not from Amazon, but from Best Buy. Now, are there more powerful laptops out there? Yes. Are there cheaper laptops out there? Of course, but if you're looking for an all-around great machine that delivers performance, battery, portability, reliability, and this is the most important part, for a price that won't have you eating ramen for the next 6 months, this is it. So how does this half-decade-old machine stack up in 2025, and is it really worth your money? Let's talk about it. Now, first and foremost, let's start with performance. The M1, I almost dropped it there. The M1 chip was Apple's first in-house made silicon chip. Everything before this was made on Intel. And this move absolutely changed the game for what a laptop can do. I'm not even exaggerating. From the performance to the battery, the improvements were monumental, and it had everybody in the industry scrambling to find an answer to the M1 MacBook Air. And to this day, I still don't think anybody really has. Now, I'm not saying this is or was at the time the most powerful laptop that you can find. There's definitely a lot of competition from Windows, especially at the higher end, like gaming performance kind of sector. But in the mid to low budget friendly, but still powerful and actually usable segment, there really is no competition to the MacBook Air. And for 95% of the things casual users actually do on their laptops, like watching YouTube videos, Netflix movies, homework, Zoom calls, and maybe even some light gaming, the M1 MacBook Air is still a great option. Hey guys, Editor Alex here, and I just wanted to show you that I edited this very video that you're watching on the M1 MacBook Air. And you can see down here, I have a few 4K timelines, I've got some video effects here, and I'm gonna start playing this video. And you can see anywhere that I jump on my timeline, it picks up fairly quickly. There really isn't much stutter or lag. There isn't any frame droppage. It's doing a really good job with just being able to handle this task. So if you're worried about the performance or you want to get into video editing yourself, as long as you're not doing too much color grading or have too many 4K timelines and effects, you're going to be just fine. The 2020 M1 Air is going to be able to handle all of that just fine. But that being said, it's not without its limitations, and there's really two issues that you might run into with this laptop. One of them being storage. I actually have to edit this video off of an external SSD because there's just not enough storage on the laptop for all of my video files. And if you're somebody who offloads all of your photos and videos off of your phone onto your laptop, or you do video editing like myself, you're definitely going to run into some limitations with storage. Thankfully, there is a pretty cheap solution. You can get one of these external SSDs off of Amazon. I'll leave it linked in the description below. This is like 1 terabyte of storage. It's very portable, light, and fast. So definitely great and much cheaper than upgrading the storage directly from Apple. But the second issue is with 8 gigabytes of RAM, you can fairly easily overload this machine with tasks. So you are going to want to train yourself in the art of closing applications once you're done using them. But I mean, it's not like it's completely unusable. You can see I'm using DaVinci Resolve to edit this video. And in the background, I have Chrome running. I got a couple tabs open up here and I'm watching a YouTube video. And you can see, I mean, it works pretty fine. It's not like this is completely unusable with 8 gigabytes of RAM, but you're definitely going to want to control yourself and not have too many Chrome tabs or applications running all at the same time. All right, let's get into the build quality. Even 5 years later, this M1 MacBook Air still feels absolutely solid. We've got a unibody aluminum design, the best trackpad in the game. I still think there's nobody who does trackpads as good as Apple, and when I'm using a computer with a bad trackpad, it just completely ruins the whole experience for me. And luckily, in 2020, for the release of this M1 MacBook Air, they moved away from the widely hated butterfly keyboard and replaced it with a more reliable scissor switch mechanism. And to this day, this keyboard still feels solid to type on. There's no sticky keys, the travel is nice, and it just feels great. And one thing that I can really appreciate, if I can get this opened, okay. All right, so we're going a little bit off script here, but as you can see, the opening experience isn't quite as nice as the newer MacBooks where they effortlessly open up. This one can get a little bit, you know, it's not as smooth, but hey, it still opens. Now, what I was going to say is I can really appreciate that it has a built-in fingerprint scanner. So when you want to jump into whatever you were doing, no need to put in your password, just scan your fingerprint and it pops you right into the laptop. Super quick and convenient. It's really got all the bells and whistles of a modern laptop here in this 2020 version. Oh, and there's also a headphones jack. I know there's a small population of people that absolutely obsess over this. So if you like to pop in your headphones to do some work or listen to music on your laptop, you got it. And as the Air lineup intended, this is a very portable, light, super travel-friendly laptop. I know with the new generations, they moved away from this wedge to a more squared-off design, but even 5 years later, this wedge-shaped design still holds up, and I don't think that you can look at this laptop and say that it looks outdated. All around, it still looks and feels like a very premium machine, even for today's standards. Alright, now let's talk about the display. No, it doesn't have mini LEDs or ProMotion or 1000 nits of peak brightness or nano texture. But this 13-inch Retina display has sharp text and very good color accuracy, and it's been good for everything that I've needed it to do between scripting, editing some videos, watching YouTube and Netflix, and just general productivity things. The only issue that I had with this display is at 400 nits peak brightness, it doesn't get very bright. It's okay for indoor work, but if you're going to be taking this laptop to work outside on a bright day, it can be a little bit difficult to see the screen. But now let's talk about where this laptop absolutely excels, and it is in battery life. And in fact, the M1 chip completely changed the game when it comes to what a laptop can do on battery. Gone were the days of having to sit next to an outlet just to make sure your laptop stays powered on. And if you lived through that era, you definitely know the struggle. You kids today don't know how good you have it. I remember when I was in college, I would have to bring my laptop charger with me to class and sit next to an outlet just to make sure that it stays powered on, because it would only last me maybe like 3 hours tops. And I'm talking just like browsing the web and emails and just doing whatever homework that I had to do for that class. It was bad. It really doesn't matter what you're doing on here. Watching YouTube videos, browsing the web, sending emails, watching Netflix, even some gaming. I love the feeling of knowing that when this laptop is fully charged to 100%, I can pack this up with me, take it wherever I need to go, and know that it is going to last me the rest of the day until I get home. Best feeling ever. And not having fan noises and having this get scorching hot on your lap until it's burning you is definitely an amazing experience. And speaking of experience, let's talk about macOS. Apple is still supporting OS updates for the M1 MacBook Air, and I've actually been running the beta version of macOS Tahoe on here, and it's been going great. I have all the same bells and whistles as everybody else will have on a brand new 2025 M4, M5 MacBook, which is definitely an amazing feeling. And with 7 years of support from Apple, you're still gonna get a couple more years of support, which is an amazing preposition to pick up this laptop in 2025, especially for the price, especially for the price. Now, I know up until now, I made this seem like the perfect laptop, which I honestly think it is. This is a very good value for even 2025, but it's not without its limitations. But if you learn about those limitations and you work within them, this is definitely a great pickup. Now, the first one being is that, again, it is only 8 gigabytes of RAM and 256 gigabytes of storage for the base model. 8 gigabytes of RAM is enough for most people. And if you train yourself in the art of closing applications when you're done using them and not having like 50 Chrome tabs open, you're gonna be just fine. And if you want a little bit more storage, again, there's really cheap SSDs out there. You can buy whatever you want on Amazon. Again, I'll link the one that I use in the description below, but it's definitely a problem that you can remedy. The second limitation is it only has 2 USB-C ports. So if you want to plug in a whole bunch of I/O and maybe you need an Ethernet jack and a micro SD card reader, you're not gonna be able to do that. Thankfully, this is also easily and cheaply remedied by some hubs that you can buy on Amazon. And the last issue with this MacBook is probably the one that's the most limiting, and there's really nothing you can do about it, but it is that you can only use one external monitor at a time with this laptop. So if you like to have dual screen setups and you're doing a whole bunch of work on multiple screens, you're not going to be able to do that. It can only support one external monitor. So if that's a problem for you, definitely keep that in mind if you're planning to pick this up. All right, so let's summarize the M1 MacBook Air in 2025. Is this still a good pickup? Well, you get great performance, enough to satisfy most users, incredible battery that will easily last you all day. It's got a great build quality and a design that has held up the test of time. The display is quite good, only really lacking in the brightness. And most importantly, the value for the money is unbeatable in 2025. If you're a student, if you are just a casual user, if you're somebody who even wants to do a little bit of video editing, gaming, watching some movies, and you want something that's not going to break the bank, this is the one that I would recommend still in 2025. And if you do plan on picking it up, I will leave a link for you in the description below. But that's gonna do it for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.